Inshallah, we're going to start reciting from ayah number 41 today, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم واذكر في الكتاب إبراهيم إنه كان صديقا نبيا إذ قال لأبيه يا أبت لم تعبد ما لا يسمع ولا يبصر ولا يغني عنك شيئا يا أبت إني قد جاءني من العلم ما لم يأتك فاتبعني أهدك صراطا سويا يا أبت لا تعبد الشيطان إن الشيطان كان للرحمن عصيا يا أبت إني أخاف أن يمسك عذاب من الرحمن فتكون للشيطان وليا قال أراغب أنت عن آلهتي يا إبراهيم لئن لم تنته لأرجمنك واهجرني مليا قال سلام عليك سأستغفر لك ربي إنه كان بي حفيا وأعتزلكم وما تدعون من دون الله وأدعو ربي عسى ألا أكون بدعاء ربي شقيا الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. So we started ayah number 41 yesterday. We'll continue, inshallah. We'll finish ayah number 41 and then go on. This, I mentioned yesterday about the strategic positioning of this passage and how it serves as a segue between the first part of the surah and the last part of the surah. First part of the surah that is primarily addressing Ahlul Kitab, and second part of the surah, the third part of the surah, which primarily addresses the Mushrikun of Makkah. And so this is that segue in between. At the same time, it begins with the message of Ibrahim alayhi salam, or the story of Ibrahim, because of the universality of Ibrahim alayhi salam and his universal acceptance amongst the people. Not just the Ahlul Kitab, not just the Muslims, but even the Mushrikun revered Ibrahim alayhi salam. And so that same consistency that I talked about, Surah Maryam revolves around the consistency of the message of all the prophets. So you have that, and of course I mentioned all the other prophets and messengers. Nearly a half a dozen of them will be mentioned here in this passage itself, and that will show that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has not, like the people of Makkah were accusing him, that even the Ahlul Kitab, what they eventually accused him of, and that was that Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has not come with something, has not brought something which is contrary to the message that preceded him. This is not some innovation of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is not some fabrication on his behalf. Rather, this is consistent with the message of all the teachings of all the prophets alaihi salatu wasalam. Then it begins with the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, for obvious reason, Abu al-Anbiya, and also due to that universal acceptance. Secondly, I mentioned this yesterday, and I want to emphasize that because that is going to be the primary theme of our discussion today. Ibrahim alayhi salam has many different incidents from his life mentioned throughout the Quran in a lot of detail. As a child sitting and looking up at the stars in Surah Al-An'am and the sun and the moon and reflecting on the oneness of Allah, to being commanded and being told to sacrifice his own son. Surah Al-Safat, Surah Al-Dhariyat talks about him being blessed with a child at a very extremely old age, and leaving his family in Surah Ibrahim out in the middle of nowhere. And in this way, many different incidents from his life have been mentioned in the Quran. This particular passage focuses on the very contentious, the very difficult relationship he had with his father, as he's named in Surah Al-An'am. So, and the reason for that, I talked about this The specific circumstances are you have not just somebody who's maybe more, somebody who converted to Islam, not just simply that, or somebody who's a little more righteous and pious or practicing, not just that. You have a messenger of Allah, a prophet of Allah, whose father not only disbelieves, but like I mentioned yesterday, isn't somebody who just says, you know, fine, you do your thing, I'll do my thing, you know, we agree to disagree. No, no, no. He's very aggressive in his disbelief. And he is threatening his son that if you don't stop what you're doing, you're going to have severe consequences to face. So those are the circumstances that Ibrahim a.s. is dealing with. Now how he goes about that, because as a prophet and a messenger, and any seeker and preacher of the truth, he's concerned for his father. And he wants to give his father the message of the truth. However, at the same time, you have this very difficult, contentious relationship. So how does he go about in balancing all these factors and handling this entire situation? So in ayah number 41, Allah says, "Wadhkur," recall, remember. And it can also be understood as that mention. So not only Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had that same dynamic, that same type of relationship with the people of Makkah. وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ. When Allah told him, go and warn the closest of your family members, and he did exactly that. He was met with refusal and denial and aggressive threats and violence and aggression. He was met with that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the Prophet ﷺ, remember Ibrahim, remember the story of Ibrahim. And at the same time he's telling him, mention to people the story of Ibrahim, because there are lessons for people in this. And how many of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu we can count who were in a very, very similar situation, where they believed or they accepted the message, but their family members did not accept the message and were oppressing them, were torturing them, and were forcing them to forsake their beliefs and their iman. From people like Uthman bin Affan, to Mus'ab bin Umayr, to numerous other Sahaba radiallahu anhum. So it wasn't just the lowly or the quote-unquote lower class in Mecca that when they would accept Islam, then they would be tortured and then they would be, then they at that time would be persecuted. But it was even some of the people who came from the elite of Mecca. People like Uthman bin Affan and Mus'ab bin Umayr were from the elites of Mecca, but even they were being tortured and they were being persecuted and oppressed. So this is a reminder for everyone, and again I mentioned the significance here, وَذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ, specifically the narrative that is presented to you in the Quran. So this is that filter being provided. So وَذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ إِنَّهُ كَانَ صِدِّيقًا نَبِيًّا, that most definitely he was extremely truthful. And I explained all the versatility of this word Siddiq. It means somebody who never told a lie, and that has Quranic implications because in Surah Al-Anbiya, there's a couple of situations where somebody could perceive, somebody could misunderstand that maybe Ibrahim a.s. told what we like to call a little white lie. But Allah says, no, 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 Ibrahim was a Siddiq. He never lied. Secondly, it means somebody whose words, whose actions, and whose faith, iman, is consistent. And it also makes reference to the fact that a person who is Siddiq is someone who believes, who accepts, who follows, no questions asked. No questions asked. When Allah told him, leave your family in the middle of nowhere, labbaika wa sa'alayk. When Allah told him, go sacrifice your son, ready to go. Where do I sign up? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him that when he's being thrown into the fire, he says, I have Allah on my side, I'm not worried about anything. Siddiq. That was the quality of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu that I mentioned yesterday. The next quality of Ibrahim alayhi salam that lists here is Nabiyyan. He was a Nabi. Now, Nabi, we all know that it means prophets. But I'd like to talk about the word Nabi from a linguistic perspective, from its lexical root. The word Nabi comes from two possible roots. The first is Naba'un, Naba, which means news, but it specifically refers to news that is very important and extremely relevant. So Naba means news that is very important and extremely relevant. So a Nabi is someone who carries news that is important and relevant. And in that is a very, very profound lesson if you think about it. Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is a Nabi. He's a Nabi. Alright? And so the word Nabi itself refutes and answers